The Disney Treasure will have its maiden voyage on December 21st. But before that, and before it even goes out on a media voyage, we were very lucky to go out to New York City for the christening of the ship, and as well to be the first to tour the Disney Treasure, the latest cruise ship from Disney Cruise Line. Eric Morton with me.
Hello.
Corliss.
Should I give the disclaimer?
What's the disclaimer?
We were hosted media at this event.
I said we're invited, yeah.
So if you think that renders us incapable of providing neutral opinions on the things that we saw, we're still going to give you facts. You're welcome to believe them or not. We'll tell you our impressions. And I think be very honest about the things that we love and the things we don't love.
Yeah.
And all
Let's
that kind of
get the things we don't love out of the way because we knew they were going to be the things we don't love. So I just want to throw them out first. So first of all, you remember, what was the Wish 22?
Sounds about right.
It's been that long, hasn't it? We, of course, went on a very early voyage on the Disney Wish. Actually, we went back 2 more times after that. We gave you 2 honest reviews of the Wish early on. One was from that first cruise we went on. The second was Eric came with me, and we were like, well, let's see what got done.
We shared a shoebox on the Wish.
We had an interior stateroom that was probably next to an engine or something.
It was like a one-off on each floor. On each deck.
So we did a second review to give them a little time to work out the kinks, and I think it still took them a long time. The Wish, the launch of the Disney Wish was an unmitigated disaster. There is no way around that. It wasn't ready. There were a lot of problems. And then beyond that, I think in the Disney fandom, at least, there were a lot of issues with the theme and the choices of the venues. But the things I want to say is what we said with the Wish is it's the beginning of a new class of 3 ships, which is the Wish, the Treasure, and the Destiny. And what we said was, well, once the Wish happened, unfortunately, we looked at each other and went, well, that's kind of how they're all going to be. The pool situation is going to be the pool situation. It's not great. The layout is not great.
The elevator situation is the elevator situation.
Yeah.
Right.
They fixed the buttons, but it's still...
It's still 2 banks of elevators.
Yeah, it still is what it is. So all of those layout problems and pool size problems and the thing with the adult pool you have to climb in. And so go watch that review. But all of that still stands. Like that has not been addressed for this ship. We'll dive a little more into that when we do an honest review after we do the media cruise, and maybe we'll wait till even after the maiden. I'm not sure. Or we'll do 2. I don't know at this point. But all of that bad still exists. It could not be corrected. It wasn't corrected. But I don't know if I want to get ahead of ourselves.
Well, I'll just say for the most part, though, just for clarity, we didn't really tour. We were guided on this tour, right? Yeah. We didn't have free reign of the ship. No. We did not tour areas that are what I would call substantially similar to the Wish. They wanted to make sure that we saw the things that are new designs, new ideas, new execution of IP and things like that. So
any returning venues, we walked by several of them. Like Hook's Barbary I saw. It looks the same. We saw the pools on the deck. They look the same.
We did eat at Worlds of Marvel, which is fairly similar to...
We did. We just saw the new show. Yeah. But our focus as media and as fan media was new venues. Obviously, we will be there for 3 nights and 4 days in early December, and we'll be able to look more at those other locations. They did take us into the Oceaneer, the kids area, which again is identical. Yeah. Other than the slide.
The Jungle Book slide.
Yeah. Other than the slide, identical to the Wish. But here's what I will say. What I think we're going to take away from this first impressions video is what a difference a regime makes. Because I think the Wish was a product of the Bob Chapek era. This is the product of a different era. So again, the layout, you can't change the layout at this point. This and the Destiny are going to be the same layout as the Wish. But what you've seen is there are areas where the venues are huge glow-ups from what they were on the Wish. Now, in defense of the Wish, which is not a thing I thought I would ever say in my life, in defense of the Wish, they went for I think they're going for a certain clientele, and I think they went for a certain aesthetic, which is very clean, elegant is the word they might use. Okay. I think that is not for us as Disney fans. That is for people who those are the people that go to, we've talked about those remodeled Disney rooms a million times. They're very clean and white, and they're boring, but they believe that's what people want, and that's what they think people is modern and elegant. And I think the Wish emulates that in a lot of ways. And what this ship says to me is it's the pushback that we've seen, right? We've seen better rooms at the hotels, as well, whether it was the DVC at the Disneyland Hotel, whether it was the new rooms at, I think it was Wilderness Lodge. We've seen some better room remodels, Port Orleans recently. And we're seeing that pushback, right, where it's still modern, but we're seeing more theme, more propping, and more thought go into the look and feel of the venues.
I think one theme that you'll feel when we get into it is that the Wish and many other Disney cruise ships, as far as for Disney people, appeal to people who love Disney animated features, all these things. I feel like the Treasure really appeals to people who love the parks.
It's a park
ship. This is the ship for people who love Disney parks. I think that's where that is where they really made hay on this. I think we'll get into it with some of these venues, but I think if you love Disney parks, this is the ship for people who love Disney parks. While the other ships are people who love Disney, this is for park people.
I only toured this. This is going to sound silly. We only spent like 7 hours on this ship. Yeah, 7. We spent 7 hours on this ship. I already know it's my favorite ship, and it's because I'm a parks person, right? It doesn't mean, look, I think probably in my heart I still like the Fantasy, like as a ship,
it's
better.
Your first, right?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, the Dream
was my second.
First.
Dream was my first, but I like the Fantasy slightly more, even though they're very similar. Those are great ships, but this is, like you said, like these. I'm a parks guy. That's how I got into. I didn't like. Oh, I love cruises, and now Disney's doing a cruise. That wasn't me. I didn't take a cruise till 2021. I was the second cruise back from COVID. I'm new to this in many respects. You've been going a lot longer
Since
than
2011.
I have. Yeah. Jason even longer than both of us. But this is my favorite ship already, just because these are the venues that speak to me. Let's. I don't want to
chronologically. You want to?
I want to start with Worlds of Marvel and get that out of the way, because that's going to be another.
We're going to talk about the christening.
Do you want to talk about the christening? We can. It doesn't really apply to the general public.
No, I think it does, because.
Okay.
I would say, like, the Wish, one of the criticisms was it was rushed. They were sprinting to the finish line and sprinting to the finish line and could never get this thing finished, right? Even the people that were on initial voyages, there was like blue painter's tape marking like punch list items of things that hadn't been completed. This ship feels substantially complete, and we are weeks away from the first maiden voyage, right?
They may be just doing show programming at this point.
Right. So I think the fact that they were able to go to New York to unveil this, where, for the first time to do this, well, I think it's the first time done it in New York City.
Oh, yeah, it is.
The backdrop, right there, we were at Pier 60, Midtown Manhattan, to walk through, and they've decorated the whole place similar to, a lot of Aladdin on the entry, and then different venues within this ship are reflected in little kind of static displays that they had there. This great media event, which really for the first time I looked, it looked like not as many people like us and a lot of people that were like New York and national media.
There was
for this.
only really a handful of us Disney media, like the Disney fan media. We were the vast minority.
Correct.
At this event.
So to have Bob Iger and Josh Tomorrow stand in a fairly not small, but kind of small compared if you've been to D23 or something, much smaller ballroom type of setting, and give this speech. They show a video, and when a video's over, boom, they've dropped the curtains, and it's all these glass walls on a pier, and there's the Treasure sitting there. We at this point, you really haven't seen it, right? So the Treasure is sitting there for all of New York City to see, really lit up like a Christmas tree. We are in the worst spot to get a good spot to look at it, right? Because everybody goes outside onto these terraces.
You just want to gloat about what happened.
No, everybody knows. But if you follow our channel, you watch the thing, you know what happened. So we go out on these terraces, but Tom and I are some of the last people, and we kind of have to go around this little area and go down this thing. And I'm standing back from the railing a little bit because I don't want to fight. I'm not a big jostle for position person, as everyone's trying to get their best photos of the Treasure. And then I turn around, I'm like, hey. And Tom's like, oh, there's a stage right behind us.
Yeah, I just go, that's the, I go like this, that's the stage.
And I'm standing 5 feet from it.
Oh. And I'm like, oh, we don't know who's coming on it. I think maybe Bob and Josh are going to come
Right.
and do the christening. Something's going to happen. It's a stage. And then they're like, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Sparks. I'm like, oh, no. And then I see the camera guy come in. I'm like, we're in the shot.
I'm like, oh boy. And then I could feel, I'm trying to keep a straight face as my watch
No,
and
we're
phone are
laughing.
exploding of people going, oh my God, I see you on the.
You see us smirking very clearly in the live streams, the social videos, everything Disney put out with us two big idiots.
It looks like there's 20
We
people
too big
there,
idiots.
and there are hundreds and hundreds of people.
It's a
and we
huge
happen to be the
event.
20 crammed in like this one area where nobody else wanted to be.
Just Jordan Sparks, and then me and you stand there like just like this. It's like
And-
two schlubs.
But the drone show, to be there, I thought was stunning and amazing. And the fact that they were able to pull that off for one night, for a singular event.
New York.
In
Oh
New
my
York,
God.
for all of New York City
Yeah.
to see. And to watch that. And I saw people say, oh, this is really short. Oh, this was stupid or what. No, to be there, like to have Josh D'Amaro and Bob Iger give a little speech, to see that little movie and go straight into this show with Jordan Sparks standing 10 feet from us, singing the theme song. And I just thought it was incredible. I thought it was a great introduction.
It's the
of
coolest.
the treasure.
It's the second coolest media event I've ever been to. Cars Land's still my number one.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that. It
I
was
know.
really cool. So
It was,
anyway,
like, but again, New York. Like I grew up in New York. I spent 24 years in New York. This stuff doesn't happen every day. I know it's a major city, and obviously it's the epicenter of the world. But outside of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and 4th of July fireworks, there isn't like there aren't like fireworks shows or drones or parades or like there's not a lot of that big scale like worldwide event stuff happening out in the sky or the streets of New York City on a daily basis. So this was a big deal, and even so, we ran into a couple of people
Like our
who still in New
bellman.
York. Yeah, he's like, oh, he's like, that's crazy, that giant ship out there. Like, it doesn't happen every day, even in New York.
for scale, the next day we were at a different pier and we're on the Treasure and we're on the top deck and we look down and I'm like, what is that little small boat down there? Oh, that's the USS Intrepid, an aircraft carrier. It looks tiny. And I looked it up. I think the Treasure is something like 250 feet longer than the Intrepid.
That's
and
insane.
And like orders of magnitude higher off the ground. I mean, it looked like a
But
toy
yeah,
boat.
I remember as a kid going to the Intrepid and be like, look at the size of this thing.
Right.
And then we're just towering over it. I'm like, that's the Intrepid.
We won a war with that one.
Oh, man.
We will attack them with Wheezy's Freezies. Sorry.
Oh, man.
So the next
I
day,
now want a Wheezy's Freezy shirt where he's wearing a gas mask. That's why he's wheezing. We figured it out.
You done. So we start at Worlds of Marvel,
Unfortunately.
which looks like the one, if you've been on a Wish, it looks
They're
similar to
identical.
it. I felt like the lighting package was different.
Because it's a different
in this
show,
experience because
yeah.
it's a different show. I think that restaurant is a cool aesthetic. I know you're not a big fan of the restaurant. I think like all the lighting, all the smart lighting that can change colors all over the place. I mean, there's a lot they can do with it. They have the screens and the infrastructure to do a lot of cool stuff. They have that centerpiece on your table that can, the quantum
I
core.
like the Quantum Core, but I love tchotchkes.
So the quantum core, when I was on the Wish, was, I think everybody at one point, like everybody push the button and it does something.
So that's the original show is the
Yeah.
Quantum Encounter, which is
Right.
Ant-Man and the Wasp and Mrs. Marvel shows up, right? But it is like it's like, hey everybody, it's your turn to help out, and we
Yeah.
all hit the button and we saved the day.
But this was, they had trivia questions on the screens, like while you're eating, like in between show segments. And they'll have trivia questions on the screen, and then the buttons are different colors. Then they correspond to, which answer you pick, and you hit the button, and it turns green if you got it right. I thought that was like a nice.
It was cool, and it counts down, like the light counts down how much
Yeah.
time you have left. I think they definitely figured out. Here's another problem with the Wish, was they were like, oh, we have two dinner show restaurants.
Right.
We have Arendelle, which is really a full real dinner show. And then the way it was marketed was, oh, this Quantum Encounter thing is another dinner show. And I think people had high expectations for the Marvel Quantum Encounter. And then it was just mostly clips on a screen. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of came through and waved, and your server held a giant pretzel at one point.
Yeah.
And then they had to add Spider-Man because people hated it so much. Spider-Man eventually walked through. But it didn't get good reviews. And the problem people walked away from the Wish with was the dinner on the cruise is the one time of the day the whole family gets back together, right? If you send the kids to the kids clubs and you go do your own thing all day,
You're at the spa all day, yeah.
Dinner is when you all come back together and talk about what you did all day. And so, look, I love dinner shows. So Frozen's fantastic, and we'll talk about Coco soon. That's great. But having a whole nother night that you lose to another dinner show where you can't talk to your family is a problem. And so clearly what happened here is they're like, well, we have to do another show, but maybe we should do a show that's less show. And so it's footage-wise, it's shorter, less happens. And a majority of it is if you want to engage, which it's not too annoying or intrusive, you could do the trivia thing. I think they kind of figured that out a little bit. But what you're left with is something they've marketed as a new show, which is 6 minutes of footage. Is it even?
It's not a lot.
It's real short, and it's not much of anything, and it's kind of lame. And then it's just an excuse to play Guardians music while people eat.
Spoiler alert, it involves Rocket and Baby Groot, and the power goes out. And if you've been on, I don't know, Cosmic Rewind, the power goes out. And if you've been on Mission Breakout, they got to connect the power. Like, I don't know what it is about electricity in these
There are a lot
Marvel
of
characters.
blackouts.
A lot of power outages. I don't know. I feel like the trope is maybe overdone. I think it's fine. For a family, especially you got young kids, it's fine, but I don't think that it's a substantial improvement from what they had before, which we were pretty critical of, to be honest, on the Wish. I don't think that your experience on the Treasure is going to be markedly different, right? No. It's kind of the same experience as Worlds of Marvel.
I don't think they fixed the food either, but we'll wait and see
well, we didn't get the full menu because we had what they basically gave us was a sampling of foods from the different restaurants on the ship.
Dishes that were ready.
Right.
Yeah. But nothing was remarkable. Like, I think the problem I've had, I know people used to rant and rave about the cruise line food, but the problem I've had since I've been going is I just don't think the food's that good. Like, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people haven't had this experience, but I had 2 incredible meals at Enchante, a dinner and a brunch. We did the brunch with you. I loved it. And then I've been to Remy, which I loved. And I've had, when I just went with Jason to San Diego, we ate at Parlor like 4 times, and it was incredible all 4 times. But those are all the upcharge meals. Those are not the rotational dining. I've not been a fan of the rotational dining. I'm actually a bigger fan in some cases of the quick service on these ships. Donald's Cantina is the highlight of the Wish for me. It's delicious. It's fresh. They have all these toppings. It's the best. I will eat there every day. I wish that their cruise is so short that I'm like, well, I want to go do other things, so I can't eat at Donald's Cantina every day, but it's so good.
I feel like if you a lot of people say, oh, I go on cruises to like eat. I love the culinary. Look, you get a lot of volume of food on a cruise, and you get very nice presentations of food. Very rarely in a non-upcharge restaurant on a cruise, and it goes for any cruise line.
Yeah.
Very rarely is that remarkably amazing food, right? Quite often it's food that pretty aspirational in its design and stuff, but also something that they're able to replicate 3, 4, 5, 6,000 times a night. It's not. I mean, it's
a Herculean undertaking to crank out 1,000 of a dish, right? Like I'm not knocking people. Like, that is work, whether it's great or not. That's not easy to coordinate and achieve. But I mean, my experience with the rotational dining is I've had things that are very good. I would say very good. Yeah. But to absolutely inedible. Like, that's the scale. I've never had anything great. I've never had a great non-dessert dish, at least.
And a non-upcharge, like a rotational dining.
I will say, though, soup, they always nail soup.
Soup's good.
That's the one thing. Every soup I've had on a Disney Cruise Line ship is incredible.
Anyway, I think Worlds of Marvel, like I said, I don't know that I want to spend a ton of time talking about it because it's not a big difference.
You can watch the whole show.
You can watch our video. We have it.
I hate it. It's lame and the food's bad. And that's when I would go to Palo or Enchante. Is when if they tell me it's the Groot show night, I'm gonna go.
I think you liked Enchante better than any of the rest of us. I haven't had dinner there. The brunch we had there was fine. It was the best 2 bites of food I've had on it. I mean, it was very, very small portions for the price, but it was a brunch.
Fantastic.
That weird lemon thing was cool too.
That lemon dessert is phenomenal. I love it.
But we left there. We were the first group. They kind of broke all the media into different groups. We were the first to get to experience the Haunted Mansion Parlor.
They knew our group well. They're like, these guys, we got to take them to Haunted Mansion Parlor first.
I had high expectations. Look, we all know I have a Haunted Mansion room in my house.
Yeah.
I'm a very big fan of the Haunted Mansion. And I was cautiously optimistic. And I would say walking in there exceeded my expectations immediately. This is, if you've been on the Wish, this is in the same space where the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge is.
Which was expectations here and delivery here.
I don't know. They showed off the one of the show elements for us, I guess, to have 8 different show elements.
There are 8 of them every 10 minutes.
But the aesthetic of the place, I mean, bang, dead on. They have the Donald Duck chair, and I think you could sit in it.
You can.
I didn't try, but it looks like it wasn't roped off. You could sit in that. You could just chill and have a cocktail.
I think for a photo op, though, I think the table had propping, so it wasn't a real table. But you can at least sit in it for a photo op, which is still something you've never been able to do anywhere. But what I said to the 2 Imagineers who were there, incredibly talented people. I said, I have been to all 6 of your resorts around the world. I have been on every cruise ship. I've been to every hotel. This is my favorite space this company has ever created. Now, again, I'm biased because I'm a park guy.
Yeah.
But it is easily the mood is perfect. Like, it feels like you are in the Haunted Mansion. It is dark and moody. It's almost too dark in some spots, but that's fine because it's Haunted Mansion. It's supposed to be. You can't see the show lighting. It's all hidden. Like, there are things that are props with projection that you can't tell they're projection. It's a love letter. Man. It's a love letter to Raleigh and all of those guys who worked on the mansion. Yale Gracie, those 2 especially. It is beyond spectacular. It is atmospheric and beautiful, and it's a space you will not want to leave ever. So they're going to have a hard time throwing people out. I know. So Hyperspace Lounge, despite how it turned out, had tremendous demand going in. It's what people wanted to see. And so they had like a digital queue system for a bit that eventually went away because no one wanted to go anymore. I imagine that digital queue system will return for this, but we'll have to wait and see.
It's going to be very high demand.
But God, the propping is so beautiful. The sconces it's the bat stanchion as a sconce, and it's holding the lights. And then also there's going to be a 2-drink service you can get with somebody where it's that, but it's holding drink glasses instead. Yeah. The mugs are beautiful.
Hotbox Ghost Sipper.
There's these cool, Disney, if you've been to Disneyland, you've gotten it before, but it's still cool that it's there. The glass bottles, the like spirit bottles are cool. It's everything about it is cool. The visual effects, the special effects are insane.
Yeah.
The fish tank is
the aquarium
amazing.
Fish tank
and everything does different stuff each show. Like, it's important to point out different things happen each show. They don't all happen at once. So not only what they told me, what the Imagineer said to us is you're going to have to come here and sit in every corner of the room once for an hour and a half. You're going to have to, if you want to see everything it does, and you still might not even spot it because some of it's so subtle, it's going to encourage you to keep coming back. It's like a great attraction. It has that level of storytelling and detail, and it's a bar. I know people get mad at bars, but it's a cruise ship. It's kind of what people do is they go and drink.
Yeah. The fish tank. I got a foot away from that thing and watched the skeleton of a fish swimming in place. And it looked real. Yeah. And then it just disappeared. And then little skeletons of fish showed up. Like, it was that place, man.
The paintings are, so they did new original paintings. Some of them are parodies a bit of mansion portraits, but some of them are not. So my favorite is there's a Pirates of the Caribbean tie-in one.
Yeah.
And it has little homages to the attraction, but it's also a Hatbox Ghost reference. But he has his head in the treasure box. It's the treasure box ghost. There's such fun stuff like that in there. I cannot wait to go back on this ship and spend more time in there.
I saw comments on our video like, "Oh, this is way too small," and I'm thinking, "Well, it's a cruise ship," but I don't think it's substantially smaller than Trader Sam's.
No, they're about the same. But, I mean, demand will be high, and it's a problem. But at the same time, we are supposed to be in the Haunted Mansion parlor. How big is the parlor going to be inside Master Gracie's
I don't want to be in a Haunted
Mansion
Mansion ballroom. It's too big.
Right? Like, you could do a second room, and so from what I have heard, people warned them that it was going to be too small, and Cruise Line said, "Well, let's just see how this goes first."
Yeah.
So, I don't think this is the one and only time you're getting a Haunted Mansion bar. This is going to be such a hit that I think the whole world will be clamoring for it. I don't know if DCL has an exclusivity on this. Magic Kingdom the management at Magic Kingdom is probably salivating so much that there's an inch of spit on their floor right now. This will print money, but also at the same time, you won't care how much you spent to go, because it is if you love the Haunted Mansion, this is everything you've ever wanted. This is what you dreamed would be in your house. Eric, no offense to your guest room.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and lovely.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same.
I don't have a fish tank.
This is what you aspire when people are like, I want to make a Haunted Mansion in my house if money was no object.
Yeah.
This is what it would be. And so...
And now Cruise Line has paid for all the R&D to make this space happen. So the parks will be trying to scoop it up as quick as they can.
That's the question, is do they have an exclusivity on it?
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But the other thing I want to talk about is the mirror in the back.
Yeah. Oh.
This was the coolest detail. So they told us that, I forget what other team from the company had come in, if they were from animation or wherever they were from. They came in and they went to the Imagineers and go, how did you create such vivid digital imagery? How did you do it? And these are people that create animation for a living. And they had to tell them, we took incredible high-res photos
pictures
of the animatronics in the real Haunted Mansion, and that's what's appearing in the mirror, and that's why it looks so good. It really does look like they're there. It looks like those animatronics are behind the mirror. It's fantastic. And that's how they knew that those guys knew they did a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Because when people that professionally do these things come in and ask you, how did you do that?
Right.
You know you've accomplished something. Real magic. What I always screw up this quote. What is it? It's new technology is indiscernible from magic. I forget what it is.
When done well, yeah.
Yeah, and it to that effect, that's what's happening here. It's a lot of really neat effects, a lot of thoughtful details, and a space that is just so thoughtfully curated.
11 out of 10. I mean, this space blew me away. I was ready to be blown away, and it exceeded my expectations in every way.
Yeah, we came in like this, and it still was here.
I love that there are lots of different seating areas that are sort of private and intimate, even in this kind of small space.
High back.
Yeah, where you get to sit in all these different chairs.
But you could sit with the fish tank. You could sit up against the wall with the portrait.
I felt like in the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, all I did was really just sit there and look at the screen, right, of ships flying by. And it was cool. I didn't love their drinks there, but this is a different level. This is a different level.
I hope these drinks are good.
Yeah.
I'm praying.
Knock on wood.
We had the one non-alcoholic, and it's nothing fancy, but it was good at least.
Did you hear that ghost knocking when you said that? I hope the drinks are good too.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see how they've delivered. I mean, there's plenty of good bars on the cruise ship. So
to stand there and talk to Dan, I mean, you stood there and talked to Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the guy that brought the Hatbox Ghost back from.
These were the right guys, not just Daniel. There's a whole team, and they were all the right people.
Yeah.
This was the project. This was the project of a lifetime for all of them, and I love that for them, and I'm so happy for them. And I think they exceeded everyone's expectations. Yeah. Which is an impossible thing to do in this day and age, to have something that everyone will walk out of just like, when can I do that again?
I'm already bummed that I know I won't get to spend as much time in there as I would want to.
I assume we're going to have like a timed slot.
Yeah, I'm already sad that I have to leave a place I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
All right.
We have to leave the mansion, though. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll be back soon. Hurry back. We will.
Now we went to Skipper Society across the hall.
So I haven't had time to think. And so like going into this, I knew where Mansion was because we announced, before we were on the media list, we announced where Mansion was going to be. We announced that bar. But the other venues, I didn't think in my head, I didn't have time to sit down and go, well, where is this in relation to stuff on the Wish? So I didn't think about where Skipper Society was, but it's essentially where the Bayou is.
Yes.
On the Wish, it's kind of the lobby. I don't want to call it the lobby bar, but it also kind of is.
It's not even criticism of this space, really. It's this location, right?
And I like the Bayou. It's pretty and it's it makes sense for live music, right? Because it's New Orleans. It's a huge live music scene. This is so much cooler.
This is cooler, I think, because it embraces the attraction aesthetic that we want, right? Like I will say, like top to bottom, the ceiling was a little bit more beautiful. I felt in the bayou this year under like a canopy of one of the boats and some greenery. But not a lot to look at up there. But
this
I mean,
could have gone
around
full
the
Rainforest
space.
Cafe though, and it didn't. So I'm proud of them for that.
Some restraint.
Yeah, it's not all of the kookiness of Jungle Cruise is there in the details if you go read the propping. But otherwise, it's a pretty refined like 1930s, explorer vibe. It's classic.
Yeah, especially if you go in those booths. There are circular booths on either side of the bar. And those have a lot of detail. Those have those 3-dimensional parrot glass.
My stained glass lamps.
Stained glass lamps.
For those that don't know this story, Skipper Canteen has a version of these.
Yeah.
In the Falls family dining room, there are these stained glass parrot. I think they're fans or they're just lamps at Skipper. Knowing that, don't get me wrong, Skipper Canteen has a lot of custom fixtures. The birds are not one of them. So I went on the internet and found who made them, and I ordered a ceiling fan with them, and it's been in my bedroom. And so to see these again,
back when you had a bedroom,
back when I had a bedroom, but to see these again, I love them, and so it's cool. I was telling Jackie from Attractions Magazine, I was like, that's actually, I have that. She's like, you could buy. It's like, you could buy them, yeah.
No, but they nailed this. And I like to picture the stage, it's going to have music, right? I like to picture that it has a bad stand-up comedian, telling dad jokes.
That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be great?
But I think it'll just be your usual, like, don't get me wrong. We knocked the food. I'm going to compliment other things. The musicians they get on the cruise line are all fantastic. I've never encountered anyone I didn't think was tremendously talented. They do a great job casting. And so I think it'll be a really cool place to grab a drink and watch a musical act. And if not, if you want to go sit at the bar is really cool too because you're sitting under the canopy of the Jungle Cruise boat, and it has like the painted wood paneling from the entrances of the Jungle Cruise attraction.
A lot of Easter eggs in there.
Or those circular booths way in the back, like you just talked about. Those are. If you want live music, it'll be great to sit down in the pit. If you want. If you have a bigger group and you want to socialize, those corner booths are going to be great. And then if you want to just have a cool bar experience, it's going to be up at that bar is going to be cool too.
That's the cool thing, right? You can sit at the bar, you can turn around in the bar area, and there's like a ledge that you can sit at that overlooks the kind of seating area where all the music is, and there's those two big booths.
It's a great layout.
My criticism of this space is the same as it was of the Bayou, which is you're basically in the middle of a mall.
Yeah.
Right. So what I like about all of the other Disney cruise ships is that all these bars and lounges are kind of tucked away in places.
Yeah.
This is right out there, right off of the main Grand Hall, right behind the Grand Hall. So everybody and their brothers are going to be walking on both sides of this thing. There's shops on each side. You got the people going into Mansion across the way. Like, I don't like the idea. I would prefer this as a place that's tucked away.
These are the layout problems.
These are holdover problems from the Wish, right? Or not problems, but things that I don't like.
They were mistakes. There is no doubt. Enough people have been on the Wish now and shared our sentiments that there is no doubt that it was a mistake. You can't argue with the entirety. We're not talking about just Disney fans. We're talking about people that went on the ship and are like, oh, yeah, that's kind of weird.
So I don't like feeling like I'm in the center of a mall, right? That I'm a giant kiosk and there's people shopping on both, like walking down both sides of this bar.
That you're the bears in chairs or the lefties.
Right.
I'm naming weird mall kiosks.
Yeah, orange. I don't want to be Orange Julius, right? I want to be the Skipper
Orange
Society.
Julius isn't a kiosk. They are in the wall. They're not a kiosk out in the center.
I've seen him in a kiosk too.
Have you?
I've
like
seen Annie Ann's.
Cart?
Yeah.
There's
Some
Annie Ann
pretzel
carts?
Places. Yeah, or Pretzel Time, one of those, yeah.
Usually they're...
They put them in the center sometimes. You never know.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Now, there's nobody like trying to, like, hey, hey, you come over here, you smell this? There's not that. But I don't like where it's placed. But what they did with the place is special. And I think it was like a love letter to the attraction. And I think they did a responsible job. Right, they were up to the task. And
that relief around the stage is so beautiful, and I love the laughing and crying monkeys faces hidden at the top.
I took some up close photos of these. Hopefully, they make them to the site. Yeah. They're certainly on our Google Drive if Billy wants to find them. But no, I think it's a great space, and it's not going to be quite as immersive as the Haunted Mansion.
It serves a different purpose.
It is a great spot.
Yeah.
I guess then you move forward a little bit and you get to Scat Cat Lounge.
I did not think. Now, look, I like nightingales on the Wish, but that's not my aesthetic.
Very small.
Yeah, I love the piano bars. Obviously, the piano bars on the older ships are huge.
Yeah.
What was it? The Cadillac and I forget the other one.
It used to be called Sessions. I don't remember
It
what
changed.
it's called
It's something
on the
else
Magic now.
when they changed it. But it's a great vibe. Now it's considerably smaller but it's a cool venue to watch a pianist play. It's great. Now Scat Cats I love so much more, where I think it captures. They want it to be sort of the elegant. It's like the champagne bar, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's definitely what Nightingales is. But Scat Cat, I think, is a little more. The theme is more fun, and so I like that it's more fun and more Disney, but at the same time still feels elegant and like a champagne bar, right?
So imagine taking this very expensive, baby grand piano or whatever they have in there that costs, probably tens of thousands of dollars, and they said, let's paint footprints on it, right? They put cat paw prints.
Yeah.
That are the dance. Is it?
It's the actual dance steps that Thomas O'Malley and such take, and then there's another one. They said Marie from one scene with Marie.
Yeah.
Her exact paw print.
From a routine.
Yeah.
It's very thoughtfully done. I did comment. If you watch our video, you'll overhear me. I did say it looked like Sephora from the outside, but that's only because it did look like
that
Sephora
black
from the outside.
using a black and white stripe pattern on a doorway. I don't know who expected anything different, but it's kind of cool though, because it's the whole middle. It follows through to the middle, and it's the piano space, and so it works. It works design wise, but yeah. You're going to draw that parallel for sure. But I love the little murals around the portholes and the mirror that have the cats, but then also. Roquefort.
Yeah.
Roquefort the mouse is one of my favorite obscure Disney characters. I love the Aristocats. Roquefort's great. And there's 3 hidden Roqueforts in the bar. You have to find him in the mural. It's very cute.
Not a hidden Mickey Mouse. No.
No, hidden Roquefort.
Roquefort. And I think this is a great spot. It's kind of quiet. I mean, even though for a piano bar, it wasn't like it's not like Howl at the Moon piano bar, right? Very elegant.
Yeah.
Very classy. And one Easter egg that I just want to point out is across the hallway, what they showed us is there's a poster for the venue of Scat Cat Lounge, and it has pictures of the cats of all the Imagineers.
Depictions. They drew them, yeah.
Yeah, of all the cats that belong to the Imagineers that did it.
Yeah, it's all their cats in the poster. It's so cute. My favorite detail on the ship, which again I think speaks volumes to the differences between this and the Wish. Going from is it the Great Hall? What do they call it in this?
The Grand Hall?
It's Grand Hall on this one?
I got it.
Let's fact check that.
I got it.
Going from
Grand
the
Hall.
atrium. Going from the Grand Hall or atrium to Scat Cats. Now in the Grand Hall there is a bar that is attached to Scat Cats that faces out, but that is essentially the Grand Hall's small bar. So that is kid friendly, mind you. Kids can sit there. They can't drink alcohol. But kids can go to visit that establishment out there, that little bar. And it obviously has some Arabic or Moroccan influence. But what's great is they picked a French, the Aristocats is French. And if you know Morocco, there is French influence in Morocco.
Yeah.
And so what's great is this transition from Morocco essentially to France.
Yeah.
You see the elements start to blend.
Yeah.
And it's flawless. And I love this transition. It's one of my favorite transitions I've ever seen. I think it was very thoughtful.
And chronologically, we didn't do the Grand Hall next, but I think since it's
We're
right
there.
there, it's adjacent to it. We're in it. So where it might be Cinderella on the Wish, you have Aladdin and Jasmine on the Treasure, and this very distinctive architecture in there. A lot of beautiful ornate tile work.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite aesthetic, but I think it works.
They chose a theme and they stuck to it and they followed through flawlessly.
Right. And I think it works really well. It's hard to get a feel for the grand scale of the room you're in with that style for whatever reason. It looks big, but it doesn't look awe-inspiring. Look, some of these. Look, the Magic has an atrium that's a third of the size of this thing, but it used to be awe-inspiring, right? With all that Chihuly glass.
I think it's still like the Art Deco and the Art Nouveau thing will always work.
Yeah.
I applaud that. Eventually, now we're building a lot of ships, and they have to be different. And so, look, I don't like the Wish atrium at all. I think it's terrible. I hate just swooshes and swoops, and I hate the chandelier.
Like the statue of Cinderella and Gus.
The statue's great. Same thing here. The Latin Jasmine statue is very pretty. I like this new thing they've done where they have like an accompanying prop, right? So Cinderella has the slipper on the end of the staircase.
She also has like Lucifer crouching with the mice.
Yeah, he's separate. He's hanging out back
dress.
there. In this case, they have the magic lamp, and then it's a separate thing from them, and it'll come.
And it looks like they're floating from many angles.
Yeah.
But I think the coolest feature is just the storytelling that they do, which is Disney likes to hide these little details, and they have this large light fixture, whether you like it or not. I don't know, chandelier.
It's not my favorite.
But it has little sub versions of itself of chandeliers hanging down, and each of those has a cutout, and those cutouts are a nod to all of its sister ships.
The 6 ships are represented. The treasure itself is represented with a lantern. So what they did with the Wish was the Wish has a star for each ship that existed to that point, and now the treasure is a lantern for each ship. In this case, the lantern has iconography that represents the atrium statue. So whether that's Donald or Ariel or Minnie or Mickey, Cinderella or Aladdin and Jasmine, they're all represented. And then eventually Black Panther, which is the next one.
Yeah.
That one still blows my mind.
I think it's a beautiful space. They gave a short performance by basically what I would call like street theater performers.
They have a troupe,
a little troupe. They gave us a taste of one of their shows that I thought was very nice. And
but like you're in the marketplace in Aladdin, and the storyteller comes out. It's very similar. They'll come out and just start telling a tale, and they're very talented, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
very thematic. I like that the ship is themed. I like that we did things that go into the theme of the ship. The Wish, it was a very vague theme. Like, we called it the Fantasyland ship. Yeah. But it really, at times, didn't get into that. This ship really feels like it digs into that treasure, that Adventureland vibe a lot. And it dictated more of the design and more of the intent than the Wish theme dictated on that ship.
One thing I immediately noticed was on the stairwells going up and down. On most of the Disney ships, there's sort of the railings are this kind of darker teak-looking wood with chrome, like these Art Deco touches, right? This is like a lighter wood and like a brushed nickel, like it's a little bit different aesthetic, more maybe something more leaning into adventure than some of the previous ships. Look, we go back early, and they were classic ocean liner inspired designs. They weren't so inspired by their own IP. They had hidden Mickeys, and they had stuff like that. But this is much more like the whole ship has a theme.
Yeah.
We went up. I don't want to talk too much about Sarabi. Sarabi.
It's just the event.
It's like it'd be Luna on
Bingo
on the Wish.
Bingo, where the end of the end of Uncharted Adventure, the interactive game. They said that is coming to the ship. They don't know that it's going to be ready right away. It wasn't ready for the Wish either, but that game will not be ready right away, they say.
But African themed, Lion King type of aesthetic. I think you probably see where we're going. It's pretty. You'll be instantly recognizable. Yeah. And I think it's a nice big space, but it's not a major. I don't think it's a major change from Luna. Just different color scheme and graphics.
But then we get to dive. Well, we didn't actually dive. It was right across. We went to the Periscope Pub, which is the first ever 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea themed venue for Disney Cruise Line.
This is going to be the place where probably they're going to be hosting trivia, and you're going to be watching football. It's going to be sort of the larger bar, the main kind of. It's not just a bar, right? They have a food menu. You can go there and eat. Yeah. You can go there and play trivia and do all these things. And I've wanted this. We talked about I have a Haunted Mansion room in my house. My office is definitely Jungle Cruise, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea inspired, right? Yeah. So those things are very near and dear to my heart, and I love that they've done something with that. Yeah. So you are in the Nautilus.
Real quick, I just want to mention, all the other bars we've mentioned are available to all ages to visit. Scat Cat is not. Scat Cat is 21 and up. It is an adult-only bar venue. But go ahead.
So a lot of nods to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a lot of props.
Yeah.
Lots of seating, a lot of screens because they're going to be going to be watching sports and stuff in there. I love the ceiling. It looks like you're underwater and there's fish and sharks and stuff swimming above you.
Sea life,
They have a big pressure gauge behind the bar. There's a whole story behind that.
There's a bunch of hidden details. Yeah, we'll uncover them eventually.
I just think like this, there's a ton of detail here, but there's, I don't know, little touches of, the bars like kind of copper with rivets, and
it's really pretty.
also, this is on Cruise Line, the most phone charging stations I've seen anywhere. This bar has more charging stations than the Magic combined.
It's probably the same as the Wish. I think I think it was similar in Keg and Compass.
But yeah, this is your Keg and Compass. Functionality wise, O'Gill's, if you've been on the smaller ships, same type of deal though, right? It's going to be sort of a flex space for a lot of different
mostly
events.
Beer.
It'll be really crowded and then empty, and then really crowded and then empty.
Those beer taps are cool though. The Whale of a Tale one where the fish is playing the ukulele. I love that. There's another one with a diver. It's really the details again. Like the tables have like the rivets, and they have what do you call it? The little wheel.
Yeah, a little wheel.
Yeah, like the crank. All the like steampunk elements are all over everything. They're not just on the walls. They're in the furnishings. Custom carpet. Kudos to everyone on the custom carpet throughout the ship. My favorite thing. I like when fixtures and carpeting and all these things are custom. That's what we like to see. Keep doing it. So
a couple more spaces we went to before we went topside.
Hold on. I want to talk about it for another minute, real quick. I know you have a few places.
That's okay. It's okay.
One cool prop to look at. There's the squid. It's a replica of the one that's in the walkthrough experience in Paris. The little model squid, not the big one that comes.
They have your
with the
model
window.
of the Nautilus.
They do have one of them. I don't know which one it was. I didn't look close enough, but there is a model Nautilus in there too. I want to say again, I didn't think about where things would go, and it should have occurred to me that was going to be the sports bar, the events bar, the beer hall, and it didn't. And so, like, after you come at a mansion and it's so hyper themed and there's so much going on, I'm a huge 20,000 Leagues fan, and so like there was a little part of me that was slightly disappointed. But then I saw the cast member costume and they have the pin from the attraction, and I'm like, I'm good now.
I think they did the best they could do with a space that has to accommodate everyone, not just fanboys. Right?
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion is going to be people are going to want to go in there for the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
This is actually they're never going to host trivia or karaoke in the Haunted Mansion.
No,
Parlor,
and so like
right?
if you're going to pick a theme and the choice is 20,000 Leagues, I should just be grateful that 20K has been kept alive. And it was chosen as a theme for a venue because it very well could have just been left out. So
I wish they would have just used it for the whole venue. Put it where Sarabi is too. Put the giant organ. Put the giant organ down there on the stage. That'd been cool.
We're getting a little too fanboy.
Yeah, a little too much. Do you have anything else about that venue you want to talk about, or
no? You want to go to We went to Jumbeaux next.
All right, Jumbeaux Suites up on the one of the upper decks.
Yeah, it's the ice cream. It's the Upcharge ice cream shop, right? The Upcharge sweet store. They all have these now where you can obviously get free ice cream out on the deck, and there's free desserts in lots of places, free, included with your cruise. This is where you go to get Upcharge gelato and custom treats, things of that sort. Obviously, this is Zootopia themed. It's a very cute space. There's an awesome statue of Nick and Judy enjoying popsicles and ice cream, and there's the little rodent businessmen hanging out. It's very cute. Great photo ops. Cute treats. I don't know how much we have to talk about it, but it's a great space. I love the theme, and Zootopia is a great theme. It worked for the land in Shanghai, which someday I'll do that honest review. But otherwise, it's a tremendous theme for a venue. It works really well. It's super cute. Love it.
From there, we walked out onto the deck of the ship for the first time, and just to see it docked in New York was pretty amazing. Yeah. Surrounded by huge buildings and everything else. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It looks like the deck of many other, in particular the Wish.
Yeah.
Right? They have an Aquamouse. We did not ride it. It was 40 degrees out.
I may not be ready yet anyway.
It may not be ready.
I assume at the media cruise we will get to ride it.
Yeah. But we were able to kind of walk the length of the ship up there, or pretty far down there, and we ended up, what was next? Was next to Epcot?
The Tomorrow Tower Suite. So on the Wish, they have a tower suite. It was the first time they did it. It's in one of the funnels. And so what is that? What is it? It's supposedly Frozen themed. Is that right? Or I forget.
I don't know. I didn't.
But it's very vague. The theming is very vague. It's just opulent. It's just clean and white and opulent. but it's not very Disney. And so, based on what they had shown us for the concept art for this suite, I was angry. Like, I think I made jokes on News Today where I said, say it's themed Epcot because you're going to put triangles in it. Like, this is nonsense. Mm-hmm. And then we walked in.
It's stunning.
Like, we go up the steps, and I'm like, oh, there's just triangle on the carpet. Like, here we go.
Geometric patterns on the wall.
There's like Tomorrowland concept art with the People Mover, and there's Spaceship Earth with the fountain, and there's the city that Walt envisioned, and you start getting in the mood. But then there's the signs on the door. There's it's in the Epcot font, and then across from it is the stateroom number, and the stateroom number sign is the Horizons marquee. Yeah. But on top of the Horizons marquee is that the 21st century begins October 1st, 1982 Spaceship Earth art with like the monorail track in the sky going around it and the pylon. And it's, oh my God. And that sets the mood. And you walk in and there's a light up Spaceship Earth at the bottom of the staircase, and it's doing the sparkle like Spaceship Earth does now.
I didn't see it sparkle.
Yeah.
You saw it sparkle.
Oh, yeah. It's in our video.
Just so you know, like, Tom and I are both trying to do this, but there's a lot of people going.
You'll see it in the video. Watch the video. You'll see we're packed in there.
We're packed in there.
For the most part, 90% of the people we're with were very polite. We're all very accommodating, and very happy to call these people my colleagues in most cases. Some people not so much, but
no. But you go in there, and I think there was one bedroom downstairs.
Peers, I should say, not colleagues.
Was there one bedroom downstairs? I think it sleeps 12 people.
8.
This thing's gonna. Oh, is it 8 people?
It's 8.
This thing's going to go for just thousands and thousands and thousands.
We're talking tens of thousands, not just several thousand.
Massive and colorful and futuristic and all those things. But I know that Tom wants to, if you have one takeaway from this, it was the Figment room. And the Figment room's for kids. It's bunk beds.
There's bunk beds, and so there's a Figment in the star pattern that appears regularly in the ceiling, and then also a tiny brass astronaut Figment with planets up on the shelf, and I like nearly cried. The other cool thing though downstairs are those weird art pieces of the symbols. And what for is it? It's World of Motion, Living Seas, Spaceship Earth. Is that it's Spaceship Earth, and Journey to Imagination. Yeah. They're so cool. But then there's this weird. You saw this weird thing.
That's like I think that's Walt's drawing of
the
Epcot.
Weird ceramic version of Walt's idea of how Epcot would be laid out. But if you didn't know Disney, you'd have no idea what that is.
Right.
But the way it's done is so cool. It's just really neat.
I mean, this suite kind of pissed me off because I know I'll never get to stay there. Yeah, what more can you say? If you have the means, just don't. If you have the means,
it's so much money.
Visit our friends at Be Our Guest Vacations at www.nt.travel to reserve this suite when you can.
There's another Figment statue too, the Fab 51.
Yeah,
in like
that one was just.
It's like an obsidian in the corner. Go watch our room tour. I hate the stateroom. Like we're going to talk a lot positively about the ship.
Yeah,
we'll get to the staterooms. I still don't think they're great, but they're a little too white. They're a little too plain for me. Yeah. But this exceeded my expectations for this. Were here, and then it was here.
Then we went to the Raja suite, the Royal.
Which my expectations were here, and they stayed about here.
Oh no,
you like this
loved it.
I know,
right? I know, like the spaces are a little smaller, right? Well, the commons.
It's
but like
the Raja Royal Suite.
Raja Royal Suite.
Yeah.
We can talk about the bedrooms. Look, they did have like the shower with the glass wall looking out onto the open seas where you can hit the button and it turns the glass opaque. That was pretty cool. We
don't
were
make a mistake.
Don't make a mistake.
Or the kids at Wheezy's Freezies are going to see your Wheezy.
Keep it opaque. Don't make that mistake. You won't go within 1,000 feet of another Disney ship. That was really great. But the balcony for that place is the size of like 7 balconies with its own hot tub and different distinct seating areas.
That hot tub is roughly the size of the actual hot tub on this ship.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
It seats about 4 less people.
So if you have the means, while I have a soft spot for Epcot and all things Figment in the other suite that's probably more expensive, I would spend the entire cruise on that balcony. So if I hope it's cheaper, the Raja Royal Suite. But
it should be, yeah.
But it is. I could definitely see myself having a great time there.
It's a little too bland for me. I like that.
I
the
know
Epcot
it
one
is,
is
Tom.
so cool. Like having the like weird. I know it's new Epcot, but the like multicolor paneling, the translucent multicolor paneling as you go up the steps. I was like, I like this.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. We did tour some veranda suites that had one configured for like nighttime when they set up bunk beds and one configured for daytime.
Yeah.
All I will say about these staterooms is that they remind me of every veranda stateroom I've stayed in. Right, the layout is the same. The color scheme and artwork are the only things that are different, really.
Yeah,
and they were fine to me. Tom didn't like it. Tom didn't like the white.
It's not. I don't hate them, but I don't love them. I like the look of the old ones. At least aesthetic wise, but I get it.
My first cruise, like I said, was on the Magic in 2011.
Yeah.
And they had those big like steamer trunk furniture pieces with drawers and stuff to store. I loved all that. That's gone. And so all of the staterooms I've been in since then are kind of similar.
Sterile.
Yeah, a little
Other
sterile.
than the art, they're sterile.
But
people like it though. It's clean and modern, and people like it.
I don't really have any criticism. One thing I will say though is in the hallways outside, there's a little like relief. It's like in a depression the light fixtures are, and so light fixtures are designed to cast their shadows onto the border of the wall around that light fixture. And I think that was really cool. So there's like Timon and Pumbaa and
I
Simba,
was trying to think about this, and I got to look into it. On the Wish, the lights are the same, but I don't think it worked. I don't know if they messed it up or something.
I may not have noticed it on the Wish.
Yeah, but I feel like I looked at those lights a million times. I never noticed that it's supposed to line up perfectly with the relief in the ceiling.
It was so hard to find our room under the stairs on the Wish that I was looking. Look, you and some of those design elements are still present, right? You're still going to have trouble navigating through the ship from time to time. We went into Walt Disney Theater.
Well, we'll end on that. Should we do Coco's the last venue?
Oh crap! I forgot.
We didn't get to see 1923. We know there will be differences, but we'll save that for the media cruise. But Plaza de Coco, which is the new dinner show venue, number one, the aesthetic is flawless. I love it.
I thought they nailed Arendelle on the Wish.
Arendelle's great. It's my favorite thing on that ship.
This, though, felt like I was transported. Right?
It feels like you're in a village. The production booth, it says that it's a la Brie above it, so it looks like a carving station, but it's the guy in the booth working the show. The bread comes out of a window where it looks like it's like a bread shop.
Yeah,
it's really cute and thoughtful. The lighting is fantastic.
There's a great ofrenda.
Yeah, at the entrance with Mama Coco and Hector. And so what's really cool though, we got to see a few minutes of the show, which you could watch here on the channel. I like that they're all face characters. So they did really complex makeup for Hector and Mama Himelda, and. They look great, and Mikkel's face character, and it's great, and it's mariachi band with them. I love it. The little preview we got, I can't wait to see the rest. This is a great dinner show, matched up with. They're really proud of how authentic this experience will be. So they have show producers who have Mexican heritage. They have culinary with Mexican heritage, and all of that will shine through. And the two little samples of food we had were fantastic. So maybe finally we're going to have a rotational dining meal that just blows you away.
The food looked great. I had the chicken.
Yeah.
We were up at Worlds of Marvel, but I sampled what's going to be the chicken that's served
right.
there. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good, but I saw some other things there that looked...
The samples they showed, that I'm excited.
You'll have two different nights at this restaurant, right?
One it'll just feel like you're in a market, and the other is the dinner show.
The other one's going to be a show.
Yeah.
Right, because it's a 7-night cruise. So, like I said, Arendelle was probably one of the highlights of the Wish, and this I think is somehow better.
Yeah,
and I think it just feels. I don't want to say it feels authentic, but it feels like I'm in this beautiful setting that really puts you in the mood for the meal and the entertainment that you're going to have.
My design problem continues though, where we all sat around the stage.
Yeah,
it's going to be rough if you don't sit around the stage.
Yeah,
we sat when I went with you to Arendelle.
Oh God, we sat
like all the way in the back, and
we're looking.
Like Olaf came around a little bit, but we barely saw the show.
Yeah.
So design wise, I mean, again, they were pigeonholed with what they have, but I hope they'll find ways to work around it with the show. I'm really excited about it.
Do you want to talk before we go? Walt Disney Theater was.
We got to talk about Moana.
Was we went in the theater and they showed us Act 1 of the new Moana show. I forgot what it's called. The Tale of Moana. The Tale of Moana. And there were some technical glitches that popped up. We were unable to take video or photos of this,
which they don't allow you to do. Whether it's a media cruise or anything, you are never allowed to film in the Walt Disney Theater.
Right. The show started off and they're telling us the story kind of, and I was kind of touch and go at first.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got halfway through the first act, I mean, it was really good.
The singing, the staging, the dancing.
It was really good.
Very authentic. Like, again, culture taking center stage, like hiring people of Polynesian descent and using the authentic dance, and it's a beautiful production. And this is like the big. If you want anything to show you the difference in quality and care from the Wish to the Treasure, it is the difference between the Little Mermaid show and the Moana show. And we've only seen one act of the Moana show.
Yeah.
But Mermaid was heavily delayed. They had a ton of problems. And then once it debuted, you were like, "Is this finished? This is it?" Like, there's a set of rolling stairs that is a majority of the propping in that show, and I hate staging, and I hate it. This was the opposite, where there's a ton of unique staging at the ship, the outrigger, and all this other stuff. And we didn't even get to see the puppets yet.
No.
We don't even get to see Te Fiti or
I saw
Te
one
Kā
puppet
yet. We get to see
Toddler Moana.
Toddler Moana is very pretty, really cool. The way they interpret the water, like 4 of the dancers, I think it was 4 of them are the water.
Yeah.
And the way they dance and represent the water I thought was really cool.
One of our guides said she had met the cast, right? And the woman who plays Moana and the woman who plays I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of Moana's grandma.
Grandma Tala, I believe it's Grandma Tala.
That woman has been on stage for 40 plus years, right? She has been on Broadway. She has been, you name it, and is doing this. And it's the first time she's ever performed like with her people, right? It's a, powerful moment for her. Yeah. She's wonderful. And the Moana, I mean, pipes. I mean, she could really sing.
The father was tremendous too. A lot of great vocal talent, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. We talk about the inclusivity thing, and I feel like there's been so many shows a couple years ago where they flaunt the inclusivity thing, but then the show is bad, and you're like, what are you doing? And this and Coco feel very much the opposite, where it's like, it's inclusivity, but also like you see the results. Like, you can see that it is authentic and real, and it feels different from a lot of other Disney stage productions. And I really like that. I like that it feels different. I like in Coco when he was doing that traditional step dancing and he's banging his feet on the stage. I was like, this is cool. And then in Moana, when they're doing all that dancing as the water, I'm like, this is really interesting.
Yeah, they had cultural consultants for both of those shows, right?
But they always do, and you don't see the result on the stage. I feel like I could see the difference now as opposed to then on the stage.
And look, we've made fun of Disney trying to shoehorn Moana into everything. Yeah. But I mean, this show needed to happen, and I'm glad it's happening.
And it's the ship that feels right for Moana too. I think it makes sense. And it's a musical. It is a tremendous musical. Those songs are fantastic. It's begging, just like Frozen was, it's begging to be a musical show. And here it is. And just like Frozen, I think they're nailing it. But we'll have to wait and see the rest. We will see the rest, I believe, night 2 of our media cruise in December. But Eric, that's everything we got to see. What are
Oceaneer Club, like you said, was the same.
Yeah, the same. It was great. That was a highlight of the Wish. I think they nailed that on the Wish. That was the one thing I thought they nailed was the kids' spaces. But the same with Star Wars and Marvel and Fairy Tale Hall, and it's all the same. But it's still and the Imagineering section. Fantastic.
Look, so this ship has a lot of the same flaws as the Wish, but the pluses on this ship are so much better than the pluses on the Wish. I cannot wait to go on this ship. And look, we're going to do the media cruise soon, but I'm already like, it's kind of like the Haunted Mansion. I'm already like, oh man, it's 3 days. I'm going to be, a 3-night cruise. You're done. This is going to be doing 7-night cruises a week on this ship is what I need. So maybe I'll have to take off soon. It's not like I've been on vacation. It's not like I've been on vacation recently.
Yeah, sure.
No,
we'll see. Maybe something will be delayed, and there'll be a reason to send you.
Sometimes the newest is not always the best, and I felt like that with the Wish. The Treasure is the newest, and I feel like it might be the best. But I guess we'll see.
They took their time, and they really thought about the venues, and I'm really blown away already. Which is it's unreal coming from the Wish because it was such a nightmare. And even I went back a year later, and I still hated that ship. I still really disliked almost everything about it. And now with this one, I'm like, this feels, even though it's the same bones, it feels very different. At least by first impression.
I'm very hopeful, and I felt like this ship is special. So
yeah,
knock on wood, we'll be proven right. But I think as of right now,
I hope so.
It's a big thumbs up from me.
I'm blown away.
I give it a 7.
Not by the pools and no, we're not rating it yet. We just got a tour. I'm blown away by what we've seen. Obviously, again, we talked about what we didn't like about the Wish that's carrying over, and so it's not going to get a 7 because of that. But it's going to get a whole lot of a higher rating than the Wish would have. Those are our thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe. We have, as we said before, there are tons of videos, including a lengthy video tour of everything we saw on the ship available to you here on the channel. And again, December 9th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, we're going to be back on the ship.
Yep.
And shortly after that, we will certainly record a review of how our media experience went. And then I'll be back on the ship again for the maiden voyage at the end of December. And we'll certainly bring you coverage of the actual guest experience when that is available.
It's worth noting when we landed at LaGuardia, all the ads were already for the Disney Destiny, which was already booked.
Well, you can book that now. So yeah, I get it.
So hopefully
our calendar next year is no better. We got 2 ships next year. Oh, boy. If they're this good, then bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on, man.
Then it's not a challenge. But we'll see you on the Treasure.
Bye-bye. We'll see you. Bon voyage.
Bon voyage. That's Alien Encounter.